Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to the videos. Another paid request, this time from Ben. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, that came out in 2008. Which, I would say at the end of the day, I do like more than the first. I thought the pacing felt a bit quicker. I thought that the action scenes stepped it up a few notches. I also felt like this was more about our inhuman characters. Because in the first one, they brought this guy in who I guess is supposed to be the eyes of the audience. And I guess that actor, he was busy doing something, some play or something, so that he couldn't come back. So that character's not in this. They just say he was moved to another location. Which is a bit weird story-wise, because they built him up so much in the first movie. And then to not have him in the second movie made you go, well, all that build-up in the first movie was kind of pointless, but whatever. But it does feel like we're focusing more on Hellboy himself, played by Ron Perlman and Abe Sapien. Definitely a lot more for Abe Sapien to do in this movie. He even has a bit of a love story, which to me seemed like a precursor to what Guillermo del Toro would do with The Shape of Water. A fish guy having a love story. There you go. I decided, maybe I could do this and win an Oscar. And he did. This one, I do like the creativity involved. There's some really nice practical effects, especially this one creature, this cave troll creature with this mechanical fist. And the stories that we see a brief bit of Hellboy when he's a kid is during Christmas time, funny enough, since it's the Christmas season, where his dad, John Hurt, getting a cameo in there, telling a story about this golden army and this war between elves and humans, and how things went haywire, so the Golden Army were put into a vault, and this crown was split into 3 parts to keep this peace between humans and elves, and maybe someday that peace will be broken in the future. Of course, we'll get to the present time, it does. You have this elven prince played by Luke Goss, who's the villain in Blade 2, my favorite Del Toro movie. And he comes back to go, this is bullshit. We're down here, and the humans are building mini malls, and we're getting wiped out. So he fights for the throne and says, fuck this, we should open the Golden Army. He gets a crown from the human portion. Has these creatures called tooth fairies, these little assholes that chew you up and spit you out. And like I said, I felt even more of the creativity of Del Toro in this one. I like the designs of the Golden Army. I like the design of this character named Klaus, who's this German. He has this like old-fashioned diving suit, and he's made of ectoplasm. So he has a suit, but it's like mist and fog, smoke that could possess things. Again, I thought that was a very cool design. I thought that character was utilized very interesting. Like, he'd seep out of his suit with a nozzle and open up locks, and it could possess lockers. In this fun little fight with Hellboy, where he's beating the shit out of him while Hellboy's trying to hold his beer. That was, I thought, a funny scene. In the end, when they battle the Golden Army, Klaus is able to possess one of them and kick ass, take names. And I do think the action was stepped up a bit. It felt as if it wasn't too many long stretches without action. Like you had Luke Goss get this nice fight in front of his father, the king, against his guards. Felt like the choreography was a bit of a step up from the first. I still like the first one, but this one, again, does edge it for the reasons I'm saying. Like I said, I do like the fight between him, Hellboy, and the cave troll. I like that a lot of it. There's some CGI, but a lot of it is practical. Some really nice animatronic work. I like the fist with the mechanical that will fly off. You have this great moment where Hellboy's fist and that guy's fist goes together. and it crushes the mechanical fist. I like that Del Toro does give humanity to these characters. Like, this is a cave troll, but we can't understand what he's saying, but he's like, what the fuck you doing with my hand? Like, we can't understand what he's saying, but you tell he's trying to talk to Hellboy. Like, what are you going to do about this? I like those details. I thought was very appreciative. It gave more life to these inhuman characters. And lo and behold, this is a movie that acted as if, hey, we trust you, audience, in thinking that you don't need this human character to relate to. You know, these are the quote freaks, but they are characters. This is like something I've been dying to see in a Ninja Turtles movie, as much of a fan I am of that. And makes you think maybe Del Toro would have been a good choice of director for those characters if they were utilized in this fashion. And other makeup effects, like they see this old lady, but with these certain glasses, you see that she's really funky looking troll. And you get into the troll market and all the designs of the creatures. Like there's this thing that they think is a baby, and even it says, "I'm not a baby, I'm a tumor." I did a lot of good makeup effects during that scene. I would say that, like I say, I like the, like I said, I mentioned the effects. I like the fight quarter was a step up. I also liked that Abe Sapien, yeah, he's introduced, but it gets to a point where he's kind of put out of action and he's nowhere to be found in the third act. He has a bit more story in here. Like I said, he has a love story with the princess of the elves, who's the twin of the prince, the twin of Luke Goss, and they have this connection where one feels what the other feels, and if one gets hurt, the other gets hurt. So I thought that was kind of sweet to have that love story between Abe and her. It was unexpected. And at least some nice bits of humor, like Hellboy saying, "Abe, with the princess?" And they're getting drunk with each other. Now, one thing I'll say is I know Dud Jones, he didn't voice him in the first one, but he does voice him in this because he's doing the physical bit of it. He's in the makeup. So it's like throw him a bone, let him do his own voice as well. I have to be honest though, I do prefer David Hyde Pierce's voice in the first movie, and I do wish he had come back. Now, I don't know if they didn't ask him back because they felt, well, let Dud Jones do it, or maybe David Hyde Pierce is like, well, you know, he's doing the body, you know, it should be right that he's able to do his voice too. I don't know what the circumstances were, but I think David Hyde Pierce's voice was better. I thought his voice fit better of the character of Abe. I could see why that was done in the first place. And for consistency, I wish it was followed through. Because it doesn't sound drastically different, but it does sound different to me. It just sounded off, and I just don't think it's as good of a voice as David Hyde Pierce did in the first movie. So I do wish it was his voice as Abe Sapien. I know they changed the voice of Klaus. It was supposed to be another guy, but then I guess something about it didn't work, so they got Seth MacFarlane. Yes, Seth MacFarlane from Family Guy. And Seth MacFarlane did a good job. I thought Seth MacFarlane did a really good job as the voice of Klaus. And that was actually one of my favorite parts of the movie, is that character who's by the book and it was frustrated with Hellboy, but eventually does come around. So it's that type of cliche, but it's a fun cliche, and I thought with the way the character was designed, made it feel a bit more fresh and interesting. And they also do plant the seeds, no pun intended, because deals with a plant monster, for the, I guess what the third film should have been. Do you see there's parts where Hellboy is wondering, is what he's doing right? Is what he's doing just? What I mean by that is like there's this big plant monster, and the prince even tells him, that thing's the last of its kind. So what are you going to do? You have this group of people, humanity, that don't respect you, don't like you, or scared of you. Are you going to protect them and kill this thing that once it's gone, it'll never exist again? But ultimately, he does. And spoiler, I mean, by the. It's from 2008, so spoilers. Sorry for a film that's. Jesus. God, that long. Was it 15 years? 18, 19, 20, 22, 23. Wow. Didn't realize 15 years ago. Holy shit. So, I feel old. But by the end of it, they quit the organization to go wherever. But you can kind of understand their type of thinking. Like, well, we're monsters too, and we're hired to kill other monsters. So, is it kind of weird that we're killing monsters, but we're monsters? So I do get the dilemma of that. It does suck though that kind of negates Jeffrey Tambor's character in the first movie, because at the end of the first movie, it's Jeffrey Tambor not getting along with Hellboy, and then he does something. It gives him a cigar, and it seems like they got a mutual respect now, and then that's completely gone by the time you get to the second one. Like I said, I thought the action was fun. I thought the effects were fairly well done. However you feel about Ron Perlman as an actor, as a person, his politics, however you feel about that, I do think he's a good actor. I think he was a great choice for Hellboy. I think he does a wonderful job in this. He's personable, he's funny, he fits the role very smooth, very naturally. He could be a badass, but he could throw some funny lines in there. And you see his humanity and charm, but at the same time, you see there's a little bit of darkness within him. Ape Sapien, I do like the design of that creature, the fish man. Like I said, I do wish David Hyde Pierce had come back to voice the character. I do think his voice just fit a bit better compared to Doug Jones. It's not that Doug Jones was terrible, but just it still sounded off to me. Liz, she doesn't really have who's can create fire and is Hellboy's girlfriend. She doesn't have a whole lot to do, and well, I guess that's not fair to say. Pretty much, you find out she's pregnant, so she doesn't get along the best. She hasn't told Hellboy yet, and there is a moment where Hellboy is dying, and something warns her like his fate is to destroy humanity. You sure you want to save him? She does anyway, so he gets saved. So I can't say that she has nothing to do, but at the same time, it just felt like her part wasn't as big as the first movie. I don't know how else to put it. I guess in terms of arc or in terms of character, other than being pregnant, she doesn't really have a whole lot to do. Like character wise. Let's see. Like I said, I would say Klaus had a bit more of a character arc where he went from by the book to joining it, and we hear a little bit that he had a loved one as well, and that's a story to tell for another day. And he gets in on the action more in the third act, where it's Liz and Abe don't really do a whole lot against the Golden Army. I mean, I guess they have guns and stuff, so I guess to be fair, they don't there's not much they can do. Although she has her fire thing, so you think maybe there'd be. I thought there'd be a lot more of that, of her using that her fire powers, like more of that. But whatever. I do like the fight where Hellboy challenges the prince to a duel. I think it's a really good back and forth choreography of the sword fight, and also the environment where there's all these deers. So it's like you could hide in one and it turns around, so you pop up on the other side. Like I said, the choreography seemed a bit more smoother, seemed a bit more finite, and I appreciated that. And it's sort of like Hellboy going a bit more into fairy tale territory with, again, the elves and the trolls and all that. So I thought that was an interesting take that didn't feel like a repeat of the first movie. So overall, I do really enjoy the movie, and I do think is the best Hellboy film for me that's been made. It didn't do the best because it came out the same year as The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight kind of swept everything around that time and heavily overshadowed Hellboy 2. And sadly, I think that hurt the chances of. Well, you know what? I take that back. I'm not going to say sadly. It hurt the chance of making a third film. And I've said how it's a shame a third Hellboy was never made. But to be honest, the more I think about it, I kind of feel like we dodged a bullet, at least for me personally. Because I've read up the ideas of the third film. From the ideas of the third, I mean, granted, with rewrites and these being rumors and what ifs, many things could change and anything could change. But they made it seem like the third film was going to be a much darker movie. It was going to be a much darker story, which I think was a bit weird tonally, because the first two, you really wouldn't really call them dark. They're more like just fun popcorn movies with the sense of humor and stuff. And it felt as if characters were going to die. So I would assume they would go with the whole fate where he does erupt the apocalypse. So my guess would be Liz would get killed, and then that would, because that'd be the only thing that make him so pissed off to say fuck the world, because his dad's gone, now his love of his life's gone, and then the apocalypse, blah blah blah, and then I don't know if that means his kids would be involved, or maybe the kids would try to stop their dad, or what the deal is, and then it seemed like it would end with Hellboy dying, and that'd be the only way to stop it if Hellboy dies. Whatever the case would be, it sounded like it wouldn't be my cup of tea, wouldn't be my kind of movie, and be so totally different. I mean, this ends with Hellboy finding out that he's got twins, and he has this look on his face, and you have this kind of funny but sweet love song. Can't live without you. And this was a. It just would feel so weird to go from that and that tone to then all this stuff happening. I mean, if that's the case, then I'm fine the movie didn't get made. It'd be like making an Alien 3 for Hellboy. If that's the case, then fine. Maybe I should appreciate that shitty new Hellboy more for saving us that bullshit, if that's the case. That's the thing. You could look at this as an ending. They quit their organization. She's pregnant. He's going to be a father of two. Yes, there's that notion of what could the future lie. That's another good creature design. It's like a blind creature that helps Hellboy be alive again. I forget what they call that creature, but it's an interesting design. Looks like something from Pan's Labyrinth. Pan's Labyrinth. But yeah, I'm tired of shitty sequels, so the more to avoid them, the better. But yeah, at least to me, if this was the last, I mean, that would be another Hellboy film. These films don't make a whole lot of money. The first one made a little bit of money. This one probably did the same amount of business, give or take. Broke even, maybe. I don't even know. Did it break even? Did it lose a bit of money? I don't know. But they were not blockbusters, is what I'm saying. And then the new Hellboy didn't do well at all. So, yeah, these films are not. They're not box office bonanzas. So, a studio looks at that and they go, "Nah, we're tired." Because it, I get it. It's a business. They need to make money. Because if they don't make money, then a lot of people get fired and they don't have jobs. And if no one has jobs, then there's no one to make the movies. And hell, there are movies that are good that don't do well, like Dread. So you never know. So, with all that rambling aside, Hellboy 2: The Golden Army, enjoyable movie. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye bye.